No, this piece of advice is a piece of advice everybody knows, and for some reason we don't always apply it. And that piece of advice would be take everything with a pinch of salt. And you say, but there's this other piece of advice that I think is better. That's you. But for me, I feel like when we're going through this whole self-development journey, trying to improve ourselves, we're taking so much information. Watch this YouTube or read this book, listen to this podcast, and we're all taking in all of this advice and information. Sometimes some of us start to take it wholesale. We just hear it, we adapt it, and move on. And that might work for some people, but one piece of advice doesn't apply to everybody in the world. There's always going to be some situation that's not going to apply to that piece of advice. So we need to start thinking critically about, hey, does this actually apply to my situation? Hey, does this make sense for me to actually do? If I do this, is something that's sustainable, something that helps me out? There's the piece of advice, never quit. But in reality, sometimes you need to quit. Sometimes you need to pivot. And it may be seen as quitting and you quit, but it worked out. Because if you continued going down on this particular road, you might get stressed, you might get depressed or something like that. But again, pinch of salt. So always stop and ask yourself, when you're listening to advice, when somebody giving you advice or information, does this apply to me? At what point does this stop applying? And how do I really implement this? Because we really don't need to take everything wholesale. Sometimes you don't need 2,500 rolls of toilet paper. You just need one. So learn to take things with a grain of salt. Start asking yourself, hey, does this piece of advice apply to me? If it applies, at what point do I pull out? Because sometimes pulling out is more important than you think, So it seems dumb, but really and truly, think critically and take everything with a pinch of salt, including this video. Ask yourself, is Kyle really making sense? I think I'm making sense, but if you don't think I'm making sense, well, that's you. Just switch on to the next video. But if you think I'm making sense, yeah, you can probably watch me in the next video or something. See you next time. Cool.